How you doing, guys? Welcome back. It's LSP. It's currently the 8th of June 2022. So before we get into the analysis today, we will start with Bitcoin as usual. But as I'm talking, I want to spend a little bit of time talking about the higher time frames, weekly, monthly. And there's sometimes, I guess, pull that people get drawn into when it comes to using these lower time frames. As I'm talking, I'm going to be overlaying the hourly chart to give you an idea of what can happen to people's emotions right when they see these things. And they're maybe a little bit inexperienced. They don't really know, what's happening on a macro level or on a higher time frame level, and assume that these moves actually mean something when in actual fact they don't. So when we're looking at this weekly chart, the narrative is still the same with us, right? We've always maintained it's either 48,000, 20,000. One of these two levels has to be hit first. Okay, it doesn't matter which one it is, but one of them is going to be hit first, right? So for us, as I keep saying in a very simple way, all we're looking for on the lower time frames is confirmation that price is going to either this one or this one. This can be in the form of, small downtrends, for example, or this can be in the form of a nice, let's say we're looking at the hourly and we get a really nice move up and it starts to trend really nicely and you can see the momentum shift. We need something. But either way, that's what we're using the lower time frames for. We're not using the lower time frames to give us a general overview and a big macro picture of what Bitcoin's going to do over the next 3 to 6 months, for example, right? Or even a year in this case. So this is really, really important. We can see on the weekly chart here that we have these 2 points, and we can see that this downtrend is still in play. We can see the little bit of capitulation that happened here, and then obviously this is why it started to slow down a little bit. We know Bitcoin's being accumulated, but we're not seeing that effect on the chart. We know that there's some, news regarding the Loomis bill, so that's coming. Regulation is going to start tightening. They're going to start to implement a lot of these ideas and these things, so the crypto market is changing very, very quickly and very dynamically, right? So we need to maintain a focus on the big picture, right? So when we look at the weekly chart like this, as I said, we've got a downtrend, a rally in the downtrend, continuation of the downtrend, a potential rally in the downtrend, and maybe that last portion going into, these levels down here. Now, whether this happens or not, the most important thing is, because I've got it planned and I know that if that happens, it's going to be a confirmation of a downtrend, I don't need to do anything. I can take a step back, I can relax, I can just let the market do what it's going to do and tell me whether or not I'm right or wrong. Either way, I'll still be right, and let me explain. If price does not go to my expected 20,000, which is what I'm personally expecting, right, and it starts to go up instead, because I can't engage whether it gets down here or gets up here, there's nothing for me to do. So if it does go up and I'm wrong and it's not going down, and I'm not going down, and it's not going down to 20,000, it will show me that it wants to go up here. So either way, because I'm being patient and I'm waiting, I'm still right. I've got the two levels. I know which ones are there. And when I say I'm right, I'm not talking about being right in which direction the market's going. I'm talking about being right in my analysis at that moment. If I get confirmation that price is going higher, I can start to engage. Yeah, that's the right thing for me. If it starts to go lower, I can engage because that's the right thing for me. Super, super important. Now, let me overlay the hourly chart and I'll just quickly explain something. When you see movement like this, up and down, up and down, up and down, and you're not paying attention to something like a bigger picture, and something that is planned out, you can get pulled into this bullish bias, bearish bias, bullish bias, bearish bias, not really understanding or knowing what's going on, watching 100 videos on YouTube, trying to get confirmation of some idea. And you get, like I said, pulled in a lot of different directions, and you end up in a situation, right, where you're not really seeing what's actually happening. You're just seeing what you think is happening based on these big candles. A good rule of thumb is when you see an hourly chart like this, okay, just assume that you're being messed around with, okay? Just assume that there is somebody on the other side of that chart pulling the strings to try and get you to engage in Bitcoin right now while it's a mess, yeah? And this is where people get chewed up. So with all of that said, going forward, we can see this 4-hour chart grinding sideways, almost like we had one section of consolidation. Now we have a secondary section of consolidation, which is a little bit broader. But again, has anything really changed since, the last 2 or 3 videos? Not really, yeah. We will continue to stay on top of price because we need to see something happen. And ultimately now I'm taking a step back. I'll still do the analysis, obviously, because we need to stay on top of it. But I'm not going to be making any assumptions up or down. I'm just going to let price unfold and tell me what it wants to do. We really need to see that injection of volatility. So let's go over to Binance. And if we just take a look at Binance here, we can see that it did dip a little bit deeper on this 4-hour chart. If we just jump up to the weekly, just so we can kind of get a feel for what's going on there. We have these lower levels. There is a little bit, a little bit of liquidity building up down here. There's plenty of liquidity in this primary liquidity pool. There's all these imbalances over here. And then obviously price, what seems like a little bit of a bleed to the downside, kind of hovering around sort of 280 to around about sort of 320, in the last 2-3 weeks. Now, whether or not this continues to go down or whether or not it continues to go up, I think will be dependent on two things. If it does decouple completely based on the news that's going on with Binance at the moment and it really starts to drop, eventually it will come back into play. Okay, so Bitcoin will come back into play and it will start to pull it back, and that correlation will start to tighten and tighten, right? Unless Binance goes out of business or something insane happens, okay, it's very unlikely that Binance is going to decouple from Bitcoin, insanely. Yeah, I don't think that that's what's going to happen. Binance have dealt with a lot of things over the years in terms of, the SEC and some other issues that they've had in terms of filing over here in the UK, for example. They had to stop withdrawals, so they get a lot of grief, to be fair. Binance does get a lot of grief. Whether it's warranted or not, it's irrelevant. We see that grief. Binance gets it. We see the effect on that, on the charts, and we see the effect on price. So we stay on top of it. We stay close to the markets. We make sure that we are engaging safely, okay? And until we see a massive injection of volatility one way or the other, there's not really a great deal for us to do. In terms of Ethereum effectively is just not doing anybody any favors, really, to be honest. It's not showing any real signs of up movement. And the interesting thing about Ethereum, I can't put my finger on this, but I've got a funny feeling Ethereum is going to be a bit of a mess, this year. We have news of the merge, and then apparently it's not going to happen. Then it is going to happen. Then it's not going to happen. This is not new. Okay, this is not new for us. Apparently, they are getting closer to the merge. It's going to happen sometime in the fall. It was supposed to be in June, then it was supposed to be in August. It was moved forward to August. And then eventually now, it's kind of getting this feel that it's going to be sort of September, October time, the latter part of the year. So who knows, right? But in the middle of all of that, because the gas fees are horrendous, because the gas fees won't be fixed by the merge, it will probably not be fixed by sharding either if that comes after the merge, maybe next year, for example. So there's a lot of problems with Ethereum, And going forward, unless these problems are fixed, in a way that is tangible and if fixed in a way that is verifiable, it's very difficult, right, for people to be engaging on the Ethereum blockchain. When you have a project that's on the Ethereum blockchain, for example, let's say you've got a project, multi-chain, you might be on, say, Binance and Ethereum, just for argument's sake. Binance is going to win hands down when it comes to gas. Yeah. And you're always going to be able to function better on the Binance smart chain for your holders than you're ever going to be able to do, on Ethereum, simply because one, the volume's not there, and two, the gas fees are horrendous and it causes so many problems with contracts and so on, so on and so forth. So what is the real purpose of Ethereum, right? Many will argue that there's a million and one things that Ethereum brings to the marketplace, this, that, and the other. But for me personally, I just look at the practical value of Ethereum and I don't see anything there longevity-wise, something that's good, something that makes sense, something that once it's implemented is actually going to make a difference to the projects that we're involved in. So as always, we're going to be keeping an eye on all of this stuff, keep abreast of everything that's happening, and we'll see how we get on. I'll keep you guys updated throughout the day. If I see anything interesting, I'll let you know. I will do a quick update later, this evening, and we'll see what happens after New York Open. I won't be around for New York Open, but I'll keep an eye on sort of US equities and the indices and see whether that's affecting, the broader market. And I'm going to continue, as I said, to read this Loomis bill, and we'll kind of crack on from there, see what happens. Sorry about that, guys. And then we'll see what happens, with this kind of bill. Like I said, it is taking me some time to get through it because it's mind-numbingly boring. But we'll see. So with all of that said, I hope everyone's having an absolutely fantastic day or evening wherever you are in the world. And I look forward to speaking to you very, very soon. Take care, guys. Ciao for now.